Hi, I'm Danny Hammond, and I probably seem like I've been missing to some of you. I really had learned more in a year than I did the previous 15 years, but it's really about how to use what I already knew. And um, we've got a problem, all of us. For one thing, I've been saying, since the beginning that foreclosures, um, fraudulent foreclosure especially, which is almost all of them. Yours is fraudulent. I know now, or you wouldn't even be on here because I've never had a client that wasn't really pretty smart enough to know something was wrong, but there's nothing that they can do about it. They think they can, that you go digging through statute, you think you'll find them silver bullet. All the things I've written for years, I've got, 300 videos on my web page. I'm making videos now, and I'm not able to help people with that. Um, I've I've worked on. I've got two that I'm doing now, and I had the 10 I won in a row were really easy. They were easy because the judge read the words and just didn't think it was worth it to defy whatever was behind that writing. My nobody knows it's me. It's my clients, and they're getting exponentially smarter because I'm doing it. Um, I'm on one now that I finally got to the top of my strategy, where I've always said it may have to go clear to here. And that is an unlawful detainer, non-judicial state, Missouri, my town. um, the judge lost his mind. And my whole strategy has been we've got to get the judge as uncomfortable as we are. Um, but I can't do more than two hard ones at one time. I don't have, even when I had one person for 3 weeks, and she was helpful and more not as helpful as she thought. And if you read this, I apologize. Um, because her background, which she was using, is she'd been a banker, and I mean a loan officer, and she'd worked in a title company, assistant to the main. Uh, now I've lost the word, so I'll tell you in a minute. But anyway, she was second in command of a closing, and she didn't know that there was no wire there. There was no evidence of who was the lender. There never is. There may not have even been a note. If there was, it was one that they had signed, but it's disappeared now. It'll never be found. But that did help me. And I'll tell you, one place it helped me is that one of my clients, she, something about the background and the money she'd made, and he was doing a company and they'd recently married, and she decided to buy the house herself because she could. So she did. Um, Later, this person that was helping me, and she's like me, she's notorious, and I can't say her name. Uh, but in the notorious part, it really came about because she knew the law, she knew the rules from her background, and she wanted to use that. So she'd get right in everybody's faces, judges' faces, sheriff's faces. And it ended up pretty bad. But she thinks she's learned something, and she really hasn't. And that's the same problem I'm having now to communicate to you. You guys read my or watch the videos, and I have no dislikes, none. That's got to be impossible, but I've not done enough videos to know. I mean, I don't have hundreds of them. I've got quite a few, but anyway, I do a whole explanation of something, and then I get these really nice comments. People, you're a great help. You really know it. You're doing good, and then they will say something that lets me know that they don't know what I said. They didn't get it. Um, so basically, I should quit. And I'm thinking about it really hard. Helping two people at a time, and I can't make enough money doing this. I can't charge enough to do it. Nobody could afford what I would be worth doing that. And especially if I win this one where I got the judge to go over the edge, and I think he is going to be in deep trouble. I think he may lose his license over it. And I'll explain that one. I mean, I'll show it to you. It's going to be part of what I'm thinking about. I know that if we get enough visitors to this website, that we can get free ad money to help everyone. What would help everyone is I get two people to help me. I've got three other businesses I started because of this, because I couldn't get an income stream. I don't have time. I don't have time to do anything. I don't have time to do this. I'm doing it day and night, and I'm worried sick all the time that somebody's going to lose the house, and that's been going on for 15 years. And I turned 73 this year. Now, I can't believe that. I thought I was 39, and then I must have fell asleep for like 40 years, and now I'm 73. And I can't do this anymore by myself because I've got grandchildren and children that I need to arrange. I still have assets, and I'm going after my house now because of this exact case. And I'm going to tell you the name of it, not right now because I haven't talked to everybody, but this is just an idea. So there's two things. One is that I'm going to have to charge something. I need to charge enough that I have a staff. Without a staff, I can't do this. And I can't do it kind of individually, one at a time. You talk to people, I think I can teach it better. I think as a class, like let's say I can get anywhere from 10 people to, I don't know, 1,000 of it or whatever, and charge them for 2 months because it's the first 2 months that are killing me, because um, also, let's say that I'm helping you and something happens to me, I die. If I haven't taught you what I've done and I found it that I can't, then where are you going to go? I don't know anyone like me. I've looked and looked. Somebody should be. I'd like for somebody to take my place because I can't do it much longer. But I can do it for a while, and I think we could do like 100 people at a time and make a real difference. And how we would do that, and I used to do classes on real estate. I've done self-directed IRA classes or seminars. I've done 1031 exchanges. I know a lot about real estate, and now I know a whole lot about crime. That was the original problem, is that I knew more real estate than anybody I'd ever met, but I'd never studied crime. Now I wish I'd have majored in it or at least had a minor in it. My major was staying out of Vietnam for 30 more days. And it turned every 30 days. I was still going to do it again. My minor should have been crime. How do they do it? Every one of our deals is a RICO deal. That's hard to win. And I found the way to win. We're going to do the really quick part. Here are the first things that I'm going to, in this class, talk about and have everybody fill out a form, where they do what I need for them to do and put it together like I tell them to put together. And I know there's these guys that sell templates and they sell them for like $1,900 or $2,000, and then they won't help you with it. What we'll do is I'm going to have you learn it as you go and do some of the work that I do that just takes up too much time. And honestly, I'm not good at some things. You know, I had an assistant for 20 years and I didn't realize, how bad I was at filing papers and files. That's the problem here. And so I think that we can like maybe, just do classes as often. I like the idea of teaching, you know, 50 people at a time and getting the same amount of good done And then we look at it. I'll get a staff. I've got some people in mind. I've got a lawyer that wants to join, but not as a lawyer. He wants to join as an advisor that knows law. We don't want him to get in trouble or anything. Um, and he's a friend, and I've known him a long time. And then with one more person, I could do I can do 50 at a time. I'd like to know if you're interested in that. Are you interested in just like say one Zoom meeting a week, two a week, and we progress? And some people will fall behind, and we'll put them in a different group because it's harder to teach them. So instead of boring these people, because some people study it, or in their lifetime they've known it more. But if your job has nothing to do with finance or real estate, if you're a Lamborghini mechanic, you'll blow us all away on fixing a Lamborghini, but that doesn't mean you can, fight these guys. This is hard. The one I'm in is hard. And it's exactly like I thought it should be. And I did it exactly like I wanted to. In fact, as I over scared the judge. And he's done some really mean things now that have to do with pure wickedness, and it's against the law. So I think there'll be a lot of damages. That's why I'm bringing on um, kind of an attorney, because I don't know how to add damages very well. In fact, as it's procedurally, I think that I know as much as anybody about what they're doing. It's simple. Okay, so here's the first things I want anybody to do. And you might start thinking about it right now and then sign up. I'm going to try to I've got every single detail form that was sent to me, but I've got like 200 or 300. And I'm going to try to make a list and get it mailed to those guys saying, I'm sorry. Hey, but here's a new idea. And so there's two things that can happen is that I'm going to try not to charge very much. But it won't be nothing. It'll be something because I have for 10 years subsidized this. I probably spent, the last time I checked, over $300,000 that I've not collected from people. And I didn't do it because they didn't have the money because of this jam they were in that wasn't their fault. You know, um, and why did I do it? Civic duty. I mean, it's not like I enjoyed it. I just knew it, and it didn't seem fair that I knew it and other people didn't. So I've tried to help. But I'm still, I lost $4 million worth of property, and part of that is my house. And because of that, my wife got ill, and um, we're not married anymore. And that's who I worked with for 22 years. I can go get my house, and I've got $3 million worth of investment properties. My two greatest enemies here are going to be dangerous: Fannie Mae and U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank's probably in 60% of all deals that I've ever seen. So here's the things I always need at the beginning. You have to go. I hope you're taking notes. If you're not, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it again right away. And I'm going to do one or two um, videos a day. And I'm going to really see if we can make this work. If we get enough subscribers, and I'm up at 800, and then I just stopped because I didn't do any videos because I was trying to do this. All of you will like this deal that I did now and how it goes because you will understand it. The way to win was not complicated or hard to understand, but there are some people, judges, state judges especially, that believe that they need a boat. And so to get money for a boat, they might do the wrong thing. That's what I say all the time now. Well, they must have needed a boat. And my idea was to shake a judge up, and I think we caused one to lose his mind. I mean, what he did was so stupid that winning is inevitable. But going through the last parts of this, and what I did, I took a state judge to federal court, like I've said, but not the court, he would be in, or if he was in a federal court, I'd take it to a different federal court. I don't want anybody collaborating. Now, I have a federal judge that's listening to this, and he's already gone too long, but I think he's trying to do the right thing, so I may not bother him. But the first moment I think he's going to make the wrong ruling, we're going to sue that federal judge. And listen to this. Here, I did, for some reason, I kept remembering it was over $800. Well, yeah, on mine it was because I was still trying to sue everybody there is. The servicer, who there only said servicers. None of them are servicing anything. That's all. It's just that's all fake. It isn't. None of it's real. So the servicers, the attorneys, if you're in a non-judicial foreclosure state, um, a successor trustee. These people aren't real, and I was fighting them, so I was paying to have them served. Well, federal court's only $405 total if you were going to sue your judge to pay to start the case, and if you only have one defendant, which is my I don't want anything to do with the attorneys, and I don't want you telling me about the servicers. What they did, because your case never happened, because you were deprived of your civil rights. And so your case will be deprivation of civil rights, due process. And if you get on TV right now, everything Trump's causing is against due process, due process, due process, which is the basis of American law. And that's what we're using. That's we do it as deprivation of civil rights, and there's only one defendant, unless somebody wants to help him, and then there'll be two. And so anybody that gets involved in this, I want to know you can take care of it at the end. But $405, I didn't remember that. I my own case, 2012, my house, 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And the one thing that you can say that should stop your case is I am challenging standing and subject matter jurisdiction. The court should stop right then and review for standing, because I've never seen any of them review for standing. That's why this guy lost his mind. I said, you don't have a case. There is no case. Without standing, okay. The founders wanted one thing. They did not want a litigious society. They didn't want everybody suing each other with fraud, frivolous lawsuits, every day all over the country. So they made a rule, and you can't get around the rule, that if you want to, Mr. Smith over here got a foreclosure, and he wants to do something about it. I don't want to tell that. It didn't work out in my mind. I did not prepare for this at all, because that's just too hard on me. I prefer visits. So this is a visit. If somebody wants to foreclose on you and they have nothing to do with you, or we can get out of foreclosures and say this, that standing is the basis that starts a lawsuit. If someone wants to sue someone for something they've done, you have to have an injury. Now, sometimes that could be a real injury, a broken leg, but most of the time it's another injury, some other injury. Well, our injury is that in the end, the person taking the house had nothing to do with your house. And the judge gave them your house while you still owe money for it somewhere else. Is what's happening every time. That is all there is. No one has standing. I've never seen them try to do it. You have to use certain words. The main word is you have to start off with, I have suffered an injury. And then you say, and I have included in my filing concrete and particularized evidence, which is a very heavy burden. Not if you, let's say that you really did loan somebody money, they didn't pay you back, and now you want it. Well, no, then it's an easy burden. You can just say all that, then prove it. Well, you should have the documents. They have no documents, which is there's two things I'm going to say. And right now it's about standing, and then we're going to talk about the assignment of a mortgage or deed of trust. So let's finish just the beginning of this. Okay, you have to say you have an injury. Then you have to prove that that injury is real or an injury in fact with concrete and particularized evidence. And with that same burden of evidence, you have to say you can fairly trace it to, Danny Hammond, the borrower. And they can't do that. Not the ones we're dealing with. Maybe 1/10 of the ones we're dealing with really have a foreclosure. And so the courts that we're going to, they have the threshold issue. And the threshold issue is that you have to have standing before you can cross the threshold of the door to the court. You can't open the door and go in. Like I thought that you just filed a lawsuit, you got a case number, and the case started. No, you file it, the judge looks at it, and if you didn't prove you had a right to try to collect money from these people, you can't go in. There is no case, it's void. Everyone looking at this now, all two or three of you, there's no case. There just isn't a case. Okay, now the second thing is they have monkeyed around since the beginning. This goes back to 2010, 2008, and everybody's got a theory on where the notes are. And I can tell you two or three of mine. There are several places. One is that in non-judicial foreclosure states, everyone at the beginning had a loan trustee, and it's written. And the times go by, it's long. And by the way, that trustee, his job isn't, and they'll say this, the trustee's job is that he forecloses. He does foreclose, but that's not his job. His job is to hold the paperwork, including the note, so that no one, the lender or the borrower, can do anything wrong. And then when the borrower pays it off, the whole thing's about believing that in my lifetime, people paid off their loans and it wasn't a big deal. And if they couldn't, the bank wanted to work it out because they weren't trying to take all the money that was in your note. They can only take the money that's owed. So what they've done is that the notes other places too, the notes are supposed to be in these remake trusts, the mortgage-backed securities. Don't go looking for your note. You don't want to find it. They're the ones that lost it. They're the ones that need it to prove that they have the right to cross the threshold into the court. So stop looking for your note. If you find it, first of all, you will not find the original. Never seen it, 15 years, and I've done it. I think I've done as much of this as anybody. I don't know anybody else. I go through the internet looking for somebody doing the right thing, and usually they're doing, they're telling you about foreclosures and things, and then charging you, but you're not getting anything. I mean, they're not doing anything. They're not going to help you. That's what I've been doing. I've been doing all the writing, all the filing, and that's what I can't help enough people. We have a spike right now. 93,000 homes have been foreclosed on, and I'm going to go back to just the first quarter is all we know of, from January to March. 93,000. This is a bigger spike than 2012. That's the other reason I can't even call people. I'm just swamped. I'm overloaded. So teaching, again, 50 at a time, that appears to me. So the two things. One is that you have to say that you have an injury, or you can't take anyone to court. And the injury for them would be is that you got a loan and you got money and you didn't pay someone, so now they have right to foreclose. That's what these guys are all saying. But they're never saying that they gave the money. That was someone else. They're making it up. This is just made up. In fact, there's a lot of the houses that I've seen in this round, you know, are really nice houses. They're targeted at closing. At closing, I've got a client that part of what I had to straighten out or try to figure out, they had like 6 assignments of the mortgage at closing, and my client signed it because who knows? I mean, you think you're supposed to, and that was it, it couldn't work, and so I slowly just eliminated, a whole truckload of fakers to get down to who really owed it, and it was U.S. Bank says it 4 months after the sale, they came in and said, "We're the real owner," and that's impossible. And the judge I'm talking about ruled that they needed to get the house back because they're the owner back. They, my clients never even heard of U.S. Bank, and they really had not heard of U.S. Bank. And I thought it was a fake U.S. Bank, not the real U.S. Bank. No, they're tied to the real U.S. Bank, and they come in late, and everybody's going, "Oh, it's U.S. Bank. Oh, look out, look out." Really, you'll never see a person. No person comes. Some lawyer comes, and that's another thing, is that a corporation can't send a lawyer to present for them. They have to be there, and the lawyer represents them while they're there. And that never happened either. None of this ever happened. So I'm going to quit now. That's pretty long. You can think about what I'm thinking about is sending out materials to everybody that wants to be in the class. And then we talk about one thing at a time. This is what I worry about. Number one, go to your recorder's office. There will be recordings against your property that you have no idea were recorded. Um, and in one case, I found in the case that I'm doing right now, and there were like 10 or 11 forms done. The mortgage was sent out to everybody. You cannot assign a mortgage or a deed of trust. It can't be assigned. There's no such thing. And I scream it in courts, and nothing. They just simply ignore it. And what we have right now is we have an environment, again, because of Trump, where the federal judges have seen the damage to democracy that's caused by cheating and lying. And it's the federal courts, and believe me, I can't believe it's true, but it is the federal courts that have stood the line, and they have 194, I think, different ways to stop what Trump was doing. And, I'm talking about with injunctions and temporary restraining orders and preliminary injunctions and things like that. It's the federal judges that have slowed things down and really turned things around. But we were really, really close to a dictatorship. And I don't know how many people really believe it's true. I do not believe in conspiracies. When I was young, if I couldn't read it in the Kansas City Times and the Kansas City Star, I didn't believe it at all. But this is a conspiracy. It's the biggest conspiracy in the history of the world. So first, I wanted to say I'm thinking about this class thing, making 2 payments, and then maybe you don't make any more after that because we've got it lined up now, and you can win, and you've sent it in, and we've seen how you did what we said you ought to do, and we'll do it on Zoom where people send questions, and if we ever get to a lot of people or whatever, we'll do the questions that are asked the most first, and then we'll try to answer them all. And I don't have this figured out. In fact, anybody that really knows how to do Zoom, and I used to do Zoom classes, but I don't get Zoom's improved a lot since I used it, or it's gotten worse. I don't know which. Um, so, if you know how to help with this in any way or have any suggestions, I'll barter and help us do it right and help us get to a lot of people. Um, and you'll be paid for that by whatever it is you want me to do. I don't know any more than that. It's just where I am. I want to see the reaction. I want to see if people have given up on me and I don't get any more reviews. That would put a stop to it pretty quick. And I'm honestly, that would be better for me. It would be better. I've, um, I've got a lot to do, and I found out that that I'm on the short end of my lifespan, and I want to have some fun too. And this isn't fun. It's the right thing to do, but it's not fun. And I don't need a boat uh, coming from someone that lost his house. I'll make my own money and I'll buy a boat because this is not my business. I'm a real estate developer. I'm sitting right now in a house that's got I've got 112 building lots. I can't work on it, and that's how I make money real fast. In fact, is the more money I can make there, the less I would have to charge anywhere, for this stuff. But I can't make money with this because no one has the kind of money that I can make doing something else. I don't know why I didn't quit before now. I did quit for 2 years, and then I realized that I had the answer, and then I did the 10 deals and I won them, and then it was like, well, hell, I've got to do this till I figure it out. But they were real easy, and um, that was random. It was just judges that got what we wrote and didn't do the wrong thing. Then, did they do it later? I don't know. Did they do it before? Almost certainly. They were all state judges, and now we've taken a state judge to federal court, like we said we were going to do. Okay, that's all. That's 30 minutes. You guys aren't going to watch this. That's the other thing. Nobody ever read or watched my videos to the end, and I don't think that I was getting through. I think people liked what I said, and then they wanted me to do it, which I would have if there was five, but it's 200 or 300 that I have stacked up that I need to call and write and tell them about this. So let me send me your ideas. Now, here's the thing: it's really important. I won't even work on anybody's if you don't subscribe, which costs nothing, or join, like, all those things you're supposed to do. Notices. Okay, if you do that, we can make money to do this. It wouldn't be the kind of money that I want to make, but I'm talking about paying the staff and giving me the time to more supervise instead of doing the things I do well and the things I don't do well. And I'm talking about files and putting things in files and taking them out and it all still being okay. Um, so I hope you see the good this could be. I really won't. I'm going to find a way to, if you haven't subscribed, if you haven't liked, um, and notifications, and I'm not going to send out a billion notifications unless, like, if something new happens and it's really important. Yeah, but I'm not. I'm not in this to make any money. There's no money in it. Lawyers working for the other side they're the ones. So your lawyer costs too much, and he's working with those lawyers, and that's the truth. I mean, every single time, I don't know. Almost every single time, yeah, I know that for sure. Okay, comments, subscribe, uh, send me like how do I do this? How do I have to do it twice a week, twice a month? I mean, some of you people are really close to problems and maybe past them by now. Even if you're past them, I'm going to take care of mine, and it's 13 years old. And I'm filing in July, and I think I can make it last a pretty short period of time because somebody's going to really, really have a problem now that I've learned everything I need to know. So, I'll do another one of these. I don't know what time it is. Uh, Probably today, and I'm going to try to do shorter ones. But really, what we're doing, I'm going to try to say something about that you need to know, like we do. I'm not going to do those 30-minute and 40-minute things because I think it's too much information and people drift away on it. But they liked it, and and I got compliments. But I don't want compliments. I want your house saved, you know, and staying in it. If you lose your house, we can get it back. But if you stay in it, I call that the high ground. When you have the high ground, you keep the high ground, you know. And I'm not going to listen to very many. Oh, I heard this one thing, and these guys are doing it, and it's working. I know which ones do and don't, and I know the ones that even if they're right, no judge is going to. They're not going to listen to it. You're dreaming. There's no silver bullet. It's all about literally the Constitution. No, they can't. That's the one thing they can't get around. And I don't see how they're going to do it right away. I don't. Know, it has to be. It has to be something so illegal that we don't have a country anymore. Okay, I've still talked too long. I was gonna quit anyway. So I have a T-shirt on because I've been watching, and that's become the hot thing. All the guys that wore suit and ties um, are now wearing T-shirts. I've got one that says Hard Rock Cafe, London. I've never been there. I don't even know where I got it. But I decided I was going to try that and see if anybody, griped about it. All right. I'll do some more. I'm going to do it at least every day. I'm leaving this stuff set up and I'm going to put it up like I do. That's one of the reasons I didn't do it. The other reason is just I was overwhelmed, didn't see I could help. And so I worked with the ones I had because they were going to prove. And I mean, I have figured it out. I've never said that. I always say, I don't know. I hope. I'm really worried, couldn't sleep. But the hard ones here proved that the easy ones I did just were right. The judge just did the right thing then, and that was to vacate the non-judicial foreclosure or to overturn the ruling of foreclosure in the judicial states. There are 26 non-judicial states, 24 judicial states, and that whole thing has got to be unconstitutional. I'm not going to try and do anything about that now. All right. That's all I know. I'm sorry I was gone, but I've got a lot of answers. Now let's figure out how do I mass produce it and not talk to people one at a time. It's just the 300. I can't, and I'm not able to take care of 2 or 3 at a time. Is all I can do. All right. Good luck with everybody. And if you've got some great ideas, I want to hear them. If you've got some really wild outside theories that might be right or might have been right when the Magna Carta was written, 1250, 1257, something like that. Anyway, or 7515, maybe it was in the future. I don't know. I'll be back on soon. I'm going to try to start figuring how the class might work. Love to have your suggestions. I need for you to do the clicks and things. I don't know how much you can make with ads, but I've seen some people move their websites way uptown in 1 year, and especially this last the second half of 2004 and second half of 2005 is when I really started watching. I've seen guys go from doing this in their closet to sending big trucks to Ukraine from donations. Um, let's see what we can do to help each other and help the people. If you've got some money, great, but maybe we can help the others. And I've got to charge something, and I don't know how many people will be able to afford it. I don't know what it is yet. I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know why I can't quit. I think I just pushed this button over here. I want to do it like an engineer did it or a producer.